Welcome to this month's Safety Apparel Safety Moment, brought to you by Safety Apparel and the Geoholics podcast, your go-to podcast for geospatial professionals. I'm Safety Russ, professional land surveyor and proud Geoholics expert. Joining me today is Peta, the other Geoholic, and our good friend Matt Stansberry. Back again, another month, owner and creator of all apparel. It's good to have you.
All right, so welcome, guys. Today, this month, we're going to be talking about your slips, trips, and falls. So, slips, trips, and falls are among the most common workplace incidents. You probably do talk about them in most safety meetings, yet they are some of the most preventable. So, whether working in the field, on a construction site, or in the office, taking the right precautions can make all the difference. So, this month we focus on fall prevention measures, proper use of PPE, and maintaining safe walkways.
So, the goal today is to identify common hazards that lead to slips, trips, and falls. And we're going to discuss how to properly inspect and use fall protection equipment, explore best practices to keep the walkway safe, and those kinds of things. And this is where I will welcome Mr. Matthew Stansberry to enlighten us on some of these tips.
Hey, how's it going, folks? Thanks for having me
Welcome back again.
Yeah, all right. Slips, trips, and falls, very common. It does sound like many of our safety meetings that we have. There's no need to beat this dead horse, but if it wasn't a common problem, we wouldn't still be talking about it.
So true.
So let's talk about common hazards that cause these slips, trips, and falls. I got a few points here. Uneven surfaces. That's pretty easy to see. Construction sites and field environments often have unexpected changes in elevation or hidden obstacles. Wet or oily surfaces, spills, weather conditions, and improper drainage can make surfaces slippery, obviously. Clutter and poor housekeeping, which we've seen before many times. People not putting away their tools, people not winding up their cables, or just any debris left on walkways can increase these tripping hazards. I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I'm guilty. Sorry, that's me.
And the last one, before you get too excited about taking the blame for everything, is inadequate lighting. Poor visibility makes it harder to spot potential hazards, obviously.
All right. So some good points there. We all know that, all of those things we need to look for. I think they're just in our everyday that we just become a bit complacent, don't we, when it comes to this sort of stuff. And so looking at things to mitigate these risks. Gosh, I was talking about this in class. Keep work areas clean, free from unnecessary objects. Now, look, let's not look at my office or my desk or anything like that. Do as I say, not as I do. Use caution signs for wet or hazardous surfaces. Ensure adequate lighting, especially in high traffic areas, and inspect walkways regularly and report hazards immediately. Especially when you're in that office environment where, boxes of stuff are coming in, you're dropping your gear down, all of that sort of stuff. Don't leave them in the walkways. So easy to trip over. And then we end up with people that are injured and off work.
On top of that, like say you walk the same route every single day. You walk the same catwalk on your job site. You go through the same hallway. After a while, your brain kind of goes on autopilot. So if you're really not paying attention to what's around you, small changes can become big problems.
So true.
And so with that in mind, proper use and inspection of fall protection equipment. Everyone knows how to use your fall protection equipment, but there needs to be an annual inspection on that by an accredited fall protection supervisor to make sure that they're all good and there's nothing is frayed and all the hooks and all the clasps are still good to go and they work just great. So by inspecting and using fall protection equipment, I got a few here. So for harnesses, I'm going to check for those frayed straps, the missing buckles, or wear and tear before use. So ensure that a snug but comfortable fit. We all know that fall protection harnesses when snug and a comfortable fit, are still not super comfortable, but they're a lot more comfortable than falling on your face.
Yeah.
I tell you that. You get a buddy get in trouble a couple times, see him kind of hanging by a lanyard. They're always happy to be hanging from that lanyard instead of dropping a couple floors to the concrete. No
Yeah.
thanks.
Mhm.
These lanyards and anchor points are very important. So they also need to be inspected for damage. They need to be inspected for damage and verify that these anchor points are rated to withstand the required loads of how heavy you are, plus your tools, plus all your safety gear, how far you're going to fall with the inertia and all that added together. And then the last one would be ladders and scaffolding. So we'd ensure that they are properly secured and set on level ground before use. Very important.
So important. I had a student one time who was working on a job site, and I'm not sure if it was the scaffolding wasn't set up properly or something happened, and he slipped off the side and ended up with Rio through his leg.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so lucky that he didn't die, and so lucky that the Rio missed, yeah, arteries,
Yeah.
everything. He was, yeah, just so lucky. It was just a stupid little thing that happened, that the safety, the scaffolding and all that kind of stuff wasn't set properly. Gone.
So so here's a fun fact. I'm actually terrified of heights. And when you were reading about the ladders, when I used to work in the field, I remember everyone would always make fun of me because it would take me like 45 minutes to go up 4 stories on ladders. Like I am like everything has to touch and I would have to climb back in. I go so slow. Oh my gosh, it terrifies me. And then you just see like, all the laborers just carry, the bundles of rebar up and
Yep.
down or everything, and I'm like,
They're just making their way up,
yeah,
nice and
like
nice and
Spider-Man.
quick. Yeah.
So here's some actionable safety tips here. Never bypass fall protection measures, even for quick tests. Never, ever do that. Always secure tools and materials to prevent objects from becoming tripping hazards. That's a really good tip. And follow manufacturer guidelines for equipment use and maintenance. I mean, it's very important. They're tested. That's what they're rated for. They're tested, for whether it's drop or safety and all that. So they are there for a reason, those guidelines.
Yeah. I mean, Matt said a really good point there about the load weight. It's not just what you weigh, it is your tools, it is all of those extra things that sometimes aren't thought about. So it's all well and good having that stuff and using it, but if it's not rated for the right weights, then it's not going to do its job anyway, is it? Or not do it
Yes,
properly.
it's very true. And I would, if I could just add one more thing from my experience working on big construction sites, often the health and safety department on the site you'll have to get like a certification, right? What
Mm-hmm.
for fall protection or to use a lift truck or this and that. So if you go to a job site, and it's always good to check in, maybe they might have something, to familiarize yourself with something if you're not.
Well, in Australia, you have to have a working at heights ticket. You have to have a confined spaces ticket. You can't use specific equipment and go in certain areas without having those short ticket qualifications.
Right. But sometimes even I worked at a company where they had like a power tool one. Like it wasn't,
Yeah.
it exceeded, theirs
Yeah.
exceeded safety of like the
Yeah.
national standard, which is really cool. And then you learn, how to be safe with that stuff. And that's
Yeah.
for life.
Definitely.
Sorry. I'll get off my rant now. I'll tee back up, Matt.
Get off that ladder, Russ. I need to talk about non-slip footwear.
Yes, I need some good
point of what we're talking about here is the importance of the non-slip footwear and safe walkways. So they say why non-slip footwear matters. Well, it provides better traction on slippery surfaces. That's the obvious point. It reduces fatigue and improves stability. I don't think people think about that one, because being fatigued is not a long-term goal that people are going through in a day-to-day thing. They got to get the job done, but being fatigued, bad things can happen. Things get dropped. People trip easily, dropping more things. And it's not just you hurting yourself. When you drop things from heights, then you're playing a game of where'd that hammer go?
Yep.
Or where'd my favorite whatever that fell out of my pocket? A calculator going at more than 15 miles an hour is not going to feel awesome to someone down below you.
Yeah, no.
Unless you got one of those, unless you need those big calculators, you know.
A calculator moving at terminal velocity will hurt. Just the same.
Exactly. And also it helps to prevent sudden slips and falls in these unpredictable conditions. Other ways to keep these walkways safe is to use these slip resistant mats that they have out there for those high risk areas. Those are pretty sweet. There's padded ones too for the people who find themselves at workstations standing for long periods of time. Those things are great.
Yep.
Regularly clean the floors to remove the dirt, especially the grease or the spills that like to combine together and cause slick surfaces. And the last one is to ensure that cables and the hoses and the tools are all properly stowed away. Don't leave them on the ground. I know there's 2 different ways to roll up your extension cord, and I'm still old school. I like to make that one coil over my shoulder and then loop it and hang it up. Some people like to do that intermixed, loopy, crazy thing that comes apart really easily at the end, so they say, but I can't figure it out. Either way, whatever's the best way, you got to get it off the ground and hung up and out of the way. Put it back where you found it. If you're going to borrow someone else's gear, especially, put it back where you found it.
Oh, that is so true.
I just want to add, in my experience, housekeeping is the quick, dirty way to tell if a job site's safe. Like when you get to a job site and you see everything stored properly, it's typically, in my experience, has always been a safe job site. It's when you see like piles of things, what we're talking about, when they don't remove these obstructions, that's when it gets unsafe. People trip.
Yeah. Yep.
You got to lead by example. Those dirty job sites, make it feel a lot easier just to leave more stuff on the ground, and that's not good. If it's all nice and tidy, then it's gonna give you that sense of, okay, I need to keep it nice and tidy because this is how this job site works.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so recapping, identify and mitigate hazards such as your uneven surfaces, wet areas, and poor lighting. Inspect and properly use fall protection equipment to ensure safety at heights. Wear appropriate footwear and keep walkways clear to prevent slips and trips.
It's well said.
Thank you.
All right. So what steps do you and your team take to prevent slips, trips, and falls? I'd like you to share your strategies with us, either comment on the video or at info@thegeoholics.com. You could also say happy birthday to me because my birthday is on the 21st. Just don't ask me how old I will be because it's old.
Well, you
Happy
can see the
birthday,
grays
Russ.
in there.
Yeah.
How old are you going to be, buddy?
No, I'm 44 on the 21st this year. It's getting up there.
He's just a baby.
Spring chicken. My God, talking about age. Happy birthday, Russ, for
thank you.
The 20 what?
21st.
21st. Happy birthday for the 21st.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So if you see something, if you do something, tag us at the Geoholics, hashtags, all that kind of stuff. Let us know. Let us get it out there. All right. So every step counts when it comes to safety. Commit to staying alert. I'll get it out eventually. Follow protocols and look out for your teammates, most importantly. Remember, preventing falls is about planning ahead and making smart choices every day.
Very true. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to this month's Safety Apparel Safety Moment, proudly sponsored by the Geoholics podcast. Until next time, stay safe.
Stay safe. Stay. Oh, you do it.
Steady. Nah, that's what
Come on. And keep
moving forward.
Yeah.
There's
We'll get it one day.
Pacific delay, I think, between us.